Oh dear. Welcome back to Zekas and Wrestling, and I wasn't going to talk about this promo video teasing of footsteps thing. I was holding my counsel because I saw the teaser trailers over the weekend, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. I didn't think much of it, to be honest, and I saw a whole bunch of people online speculating about what it could be. You know, is it Chris Jericho's return? Is it Braun's new faction they're teasing? Is it the reformation of Legado with re-signed Santos Escobar? Or is it Tony D'Angelo coming to the main roster? In the end, it was none of those things. It was a promo for WrestleMania 42 coming next year, featuring, and the footsteps, I believe, belong to Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Brock Lesnar in the end. Maybe Paul Heyman and Triple H. Yeah, I mean, where do you even start with the sort of heightened expectations to underperforming delivery? I don't know. Look, long story short, they dropped the ball. They misjudged their audience, and I think the fan resentment online is sort of symptomatic of what this year has been for them, which has sort of been underwhelming in terms of delivery. Promised a lot, delivered little. You know, we talk about the Cena heel turn. There's been other creative botches, I think, mainly in the springtime to the summer. I think WrestlePalooza was the culmination of all of that, and I think actually creatively they've been on a good run over the last 5 or 6 weeks since WrestlePalooza. But WrestlePalooza was probably the last poor, I don't say poor show, but like the poor build to it, the lack of creative thinking, and so I think you've got to give fair balanced criticism where possible and fair balanced praise where possible as well. So for me, like I said, last 5 or 6 weeks have been good. Have been an upturn. Have been increased stories, execution. There's been actual stories as well, which always helps. But there's also been a bit of an impetus on the shows, you know, actually building feuds, actually building storylines, and dare I say it, actually building characters, which we know we need in order to get invested in the people we're watching, whether you want to support them or boo them. I think there's been a real creative uptake, and so this one comes a bit out of the blue, and look, I think a lot of people castigating blame everywhere. I think ultimately, as much as I'm a big defender of him, I think you have to have this fall on Triple H a little bit, because one, he participated in the trailer. I've got to assume he was implemented, or sort of, this is an assumption on my part, he was responsible in the decision making for the teasing nature over the weekend. If they just released the trailer today, no one would be batting an eyelid. Honestly, it's an innocuous trailer. It's a bit weird seeing Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Cody playing poker with Paul Heyman and Triple H sort of standing there looking on, all to promote WrestleMania 42. There's a lot of stigma around that event anyway, as a result of one, the last year's one being pretty subpar, bar a really good few matches on the Sunday. Also, the ticketing pricing being heavily criticised as a result of, you know, hatred towards TKO's branding policies, or, you know, there's been a lot of corporate, I don't know what the word is, corporate sort of poking, nudging fans in a very corporate way, you know, trying to bleed every last penny they can out of either sponsorship or presentation on screen. Everything's got a sponsor. Even the blooming tables and ladders have got sponsors now. So yeah, there's a lot of fan resentment towards TKOism, I think, if I was to generalize the point. And so yeah, I think this is sort of coming a lot into what we're seeing on screen. I saw I think it was Assemble commenting that the Brock Lesnar in the video looks like AI, again coming on the back of a story I did a couple of weeks ago as well, or I covered it, I didn't write the story, about WWE hiring the AI creative, or something to that nature, or did. I must admit, he does look a bit Clayface in the video, but that just might be Brock Lesnar. I'm not sure. I'm undecided on that one, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But I think ultimately, yes, this was a misjudgment. Whoever had the idea of them playing poker, fine. It's an innocuous, stupid trailer. It doesn't matter. The execution of the teasing over the weekend for a promotional trailer for WrestleMania 42, really dumb idea. Whoever had that idea and whoever signed off on that idea, again, that's where you can sort of point the finger at Triple H potentially as head of creative. Maybe that falls under his jurisdiction. I don't know. Trailers seem to a certain extent, or certainly presentation, falls under his fingertips. So you've got to put blame a little bit on him. He certainly participated in the trailer. I mean, the filming of the creation of the trailer and the filming of the trailer, no problem. I don't know if anyone's got a problem with the actual trailer. Whatever, it's a trailer. Who cares? The teasing of it and heightening fans' expectations as to what it could be. Surely, with the brains involved there, we're talking, not just whoever is in the advertising department or the marketing, surely someone had that idea and thought, actually, we may be under-delivering something we're highly promising. Like I said, people at the moment are anticipating a Chris Jericho return. Some people want to see him, some people don't. Doesn't matter. A return is something always people are going to be hyped for and pop for. A re-debut, for example. We haven't seen Obafemi in a while since NXT. We haven't seen Tony D'Angelo in a while. So yes, I was going to say a promotion, but yeah, bringing them to the main roster is a promotion of sorts. But yeah, bringing them to the main roster, a re-debut, that already was being mooted as well. Obviously they re-signed Santos Escobar and Andrade sort of in the mix as well. All of which are possibilities in the ether, in the wrestling sort of internet sphere at the moment. You raised fans' expectations and you under-delivered. That's the problem. And I think, again, going back to my original point, 6 minutes ago, that's the problem maybe with this year, is that I think the Cena heel turn was a ridiculously good heel turn. The execution afterwards, for various reasons, one of which I think being Dwayne Johnson, but whatever, we'll park him for the one side. The execution afterwards sort of under-delivered, but only because, again, they misjudged the behaviour and the reaction of fans. Now, to be fair, one thing I will give this regime credit for is being able to pivot. They've been quite good at actually being... One example being John Cena actually turning face again, because look, they were like, look, do you know what? It's not working. We'll just turn him face randomly. And again, it was a bit of a sudden swerve, but I think it was the right decision because the fans were just cheering John Cena relentlessly, because this year they just wanted to say goodbye to John Cena, someone who meant a very big deal to a lot of the fans who grew up with as kids with him being the numero uno superstar. So I'm nearly 40 years old. I don't really love John Cena. I respect him very much, and so part of me wanted to say goodbye again similarly, but I can roll with the punches and go, oh, he's a heel, he's a face, it's cool, as long as it's entertaining. The key point being, has this year been entertaining from John Cena's heel turn? Again, we've got off topic a little bit, but I think it's the problem this year has been creative and creative energies. I would advocate the last 5 or 6 weeks, like I already said, have been much better. The shows actually are entertaining. They flow together. There is a point to them. They all sort of germinate in this universe that they're all. I love the backstage interactions. The creation of matches that organically happen backstage, but then you could pivot from one storyline to another with one camera shot, literally pivoting the other way. I love all that because that shows that they're putting thought and practice into the production element. And it makes for a better show to watch. So, ticking the box. More of the same for that. This, I think, has done them a disservice, though, because this is really not a great idea. Whoever thought about the teasing of a promotional trailer in a world where already people are anti-TKO in terms of the advertising nature of them, or the sort of bleeding of fans' money. And we're getting the ticket prices a little bit for WrestleMania 42 because it's related to the story. They are really high. Now, I've done a little bit of research in terms of like comparable tickets to like big boxing events. They seem to be quite parallel, if not cheaper actually, than some of the premium boxing events. So that's sort of where, the other argument would be whether WWE should be painting themselves in that category. They should be putting WrestleMania ticket pricing in the category of a superstar boxing event. There's for and against. I don't really have an opinion, really, to be honest. To me, it matters more than some of those boxing events, but other people, I don't know. So, look, pricing strategy aside, WWE just needs to do better with their fan engagement, I think. And this is sort of, I think they've been on a better road last 5 or 6 weeks, more of the same. I'm not just saying promote all the fan favourites and ignore the sort of people they want to push and stuff. No, it's about telling good stories, obviously. And this is just this is a dare I say it, a not real combat sport masquerading as entertainment. But it is, excuse me, it is entertaining. And I think they need to continue to up their game. This is a misstep. I would pivot. In fact, I would actually reference it maybe in the form of a storyline, like actually have a point to those promos. Like, oh, you thought those promos were for that trailer, but guess what? It was actually for, like I said, Santos Escobar bringing up a new faction or something, or it was for Tony D to start a family on the main roster, or something like that. Something, or Andrade being brought back, which I don't think is going to happen. But I would use it as fodder and just sort of try to create a positive from what was definitely a negative from WWE PR point of view. Those are my thoughts. What does everyone think? I'm assuming we're all in the same ballpark on this, but I could be wrong. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please leave a like or subscribe on the channel, and thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Bye bye.